Hello, my name's Andrew, and today we're doing a comparison review between the two best barefoot trail shoes of all time, the vibram 5 Fingers V-Trek and V-Alpha. So my whole journey with 5 Fingers shoes started back in 2017 when I got a pair of V-Treks, and at the time I was working as a shoe salesman and I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I was just kind of getting more and more interested in like lower, thinner, more flexible shoes. So I picked up a pair of these, and when I got them, I'm like, I don't know about the toes. I wasn't wild about it, so they kind of just like went in the closet for a while. But then I went to visit my brother in Missouri. He had a farm and like lots of trail running space, so I figured I'd take them with me and just see how they felt. And I actually ended up falling in love with them because they've got some really unique things about them. First and foremost, just the separate toes. I realized how much I missed that feeling of being barefoot and my toes just being able to adapt to the terrain individually rather than being kind of like stuck in this one piece toe box. But yeah, I've been running them ever since. The durability has been great. There's basically no damage anywhere, even on the glued sole. The only thing I've done to them is catch a rose thorn right here. And you can look at the other one and it's pretty much the same thing. So I've been really impressed with the durability over the years, but also just the versatility, the toughness, the ground feel, just everything. So we're gonna talk about all that, but I'm just gonna compare these two shoes because a lot of times people kind of don't know which one to go with. So we're gonna talk about like which one versus the V-Trek or the V-Alpha is better for which scenario for hiking and trail running and some other stuff as well. So let's start out with the V-Trek. Pretty much all of Vibram's shoes have an extra wide toe box, which allows your feet to splay a little bit more naturally and your toes to move independently, which is great because it feels more like being completely barefoot, you know? But with the V-Trek, it has a wool blend upper, which I also love. And what I like about wool is that it's very breathable, it's antimicrobial, so the shoes don't stink. Like, they still smell really good after 7 years, which is pretty impressive. And if you are used to wearing synthetic running shoes, especially trail shoes, they can just get disgustingly smelly. But yeah, wool is really great for that. It's also temperature regulating, so you can wear these in hotter weather, you can wear them in cooler weather. They're not gonna work for like wet, cold, icy conditions because the water just kind of comes straight in through the toes. But yeah, in terms of the upper, I really like that the V-Trek has this kind of tougher, thicker material. I mean, they're still an incredibly light shoe, but it is very tough. And then it's got some thicker material up towards the toes as well, where you might get some tear outs. But then right here, it's got a little bit thinner, more flexible material just to give you some more breathability. So it's a nice blend for multiple seasons, just not cold and icy stuff. On the inside of the shoe, it's kind of hard to see because it's black, but there's a little bit of padding. It's about 2 millimeters. So this just gives you a little bit of protection because it is a very thin shoe. It's got a 4 millimeter sole. So it's nice to have just a little bit of softness, you know, especially if you're going on longer mileage or faster runs. But in terms of the sole, it's extremely flexible, just ridiculously flexible. You can turn it any direction. You can twist it multiple times in on itself. And because it's Vibram rubber, it's also very grippy. Even now, it still has a lot of stickiness to it. So if you're going over like slightly wet rocks or slippery surfaces, it's very tacky, you know, despite the fact that it's not a very deep tread. But with the V-Trek, I think it is a little bit better for hiking compared to the V-Alpha, just because you can see the panels here are a little bit flatter. They provide a lot of protection from sharp rocks, and they're great for hiking on hard ground, but they definitely feel great for running as well. And then you do just have like a little bit of extra softness here in the middle of the shoe. So if you compare that to the V-Alpha, has the same type of toe box, also extra wide, lots of room for your toes to splay. But then the upper, even though it's also a wool blend upper, it is thinner. So you can see that it's a lot lighter, which is why the shoe is especially great for trail running and especially great for hot weather in the summer because it's even a little bit more breathable than the V-Trek. You can see that the fabric here is very light, very stretchy, very breathable. And it also does have a little bit of protection up near the toes. You can see there. Actually, the toes are a bit more protected than the V-Trek. That's one area where the V-Alpha, I like it a little bit better, even though it is a thinner material overall. You do get some minimal side reinforcement here, which is helpful for preventing tear outs. but it also just gives you a little bit of side stability because this is a very, very thin shoe. And it's extremely light. So I think the other place where you might want the V-Trek is if you're going through places that have like rose, bush thorns or sharp sticks and stuff like that, and you're worried about the upper tearing out, because you can certainly still use this for trail running. Like, even though I would say hiking is the primary use for the V-Trek, it's still a great trail running shoe. In terms of the sole, it's 3.7 millimeters, so it's slightly thinner and even ridiculously more flexible. But the other difference with the V Alpha is that it's got a more triangular tread. So this is better for soft ground versus the V-Trek, which is a little bit better for hard ground. And if you're going on like wet, sloppy hills, the triangle grip it's a little bit deeper, it's a little bit more spaced out, so it's slightly better for muddy type conditions. But I don't know, the triangle tread is still flat enough where you could use these on roads and rocks and they still work really well, which is also true for the V-Trek. Even though it's called the Trek, I've done tons of road running in this. Vibram has a shoe called the KSO, which is specifically meant for roads and is even like a little bit more minimal, but I honestly find the V-Trek to be great for road running. Either shoe is also excellent for cross training. I was doing weightlifting in the V-Trek for years. I was leg pressing like 500 pounds in it, and at first you would think like there's no way, you would need some cushion for that, but actually having a solid base like this, it's basically like being barefoot. And you'll see actually a lot of power lifters either being completely barefoot, or they'll just wear like a very thin sock liner type of shoe with a little bit of grippiness on the bottom. And that's another thing this sole is great for. It grips on rocks, but it's also tacky enough to grip on like a gym floor, or if you're doing cross training and stuff like that. The only thing either shoe doesn't really have is a lot of side protection. And Vibram does have specific cross training shoes, I think, that have that. I think it's like the V-Train. I'll have to look at it and see if they have like a rope guard. But yeah, I've used these at the gym a lot. Use them for road running, for pretty much everything, for biking. They're great for biking as well because the tread kind of grips into the bike pedals, and they're light enough that you hardly feel them at all. So that's another good use for them. You can get these wet, and I think these dry a little bit faster than the V-Trek, which has that slightly thicker upper. But either shoe I think dries out really well because they're made out of wool, and wool is extremely great for wicking moisture away from your body, whether it's swamp foot from stepping in a puddle, or if you're just perspirating, sweating really hard because it's hot outside. It just helps wick the moisture away from your body. So yeah, I don't know. Both shoes are fantastic, and if you want to watch the full reviews with the fancy outdoor footage and everything like that, I'll put links down below. But you can also use the link in the description to get 15% off Vibram 5 Fingers. Browse and filter more products at my website, barefootwear.org, or watch my zero drop transition video to learn more about barefooting. Finally, if you have a question about the Vibram 5 Fingers V-Trek or V Alpha, or about barefoot shoes in general, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.